Good morning students, welcome back to computer science classes of class 12. Hope all of you are doing well. So today we will be starting with the introduction of web services, and that will be including World Wide Web, HTML, XML, HTTP, domain names, URL, website, web page, web browser, web server, web hosting, IP address, domain name resolution, web scripting, web 2.0 and e-commerce. So, it is not possible to cover all these in the particular session. So, we will be trying to cover World Wide Web, HTML, XML, HTTP, domain names, URL, website, web page, web browser, web server and web hosting. So, let us start with World Wide Web. I do not have to explain much about it, but we'll have a little bit of discussion on it. So, this is nothing but an information service that can be used for sending and receiving information over the internet. It also use the web pages that contain images, videos and some hyperlinks, and the documents that are formed is all created by HTML, and that is the full form of HTML is hypertext markup language. This www is basically based on client server architecture, where a client sends a request to the server and the server processes the request and sends back the responses. So, www client is also called a web browser, and a www server is a web server. So, www is a set of programs or protocols that allows the user to create and display multimedia web pages and is linked to the internet. So, basically if anyone asks what is www, so it is a set of programs and protocols that allows the user to create and display multimedia web pages. Multimedia means that will have images, video, audio, those files, and will be linked to the internet. Now moving to HTML, hypertext markup language. HTML is a language that is used to create web pages. We can also call it as tag language, case insensitive language, and this language supports the multimedia documents that consist audio, video, graphics, pictures and many more. It also helps to create hyperlinks, and to create it we need to write the code, the HTML code in Notepad, and then save it in extension called .htm or .html. The basic tags that we use in HTML is HTML, head and body. These are the basic one. Let us see the structure. The head tag, the items in the head element are not shown in the browser except the title. And then body, this section is holding rest of the things to be displayed on the browser like headers, tables and many more. And if we have a simple code, for example, like body, I am writing my first page using HTML, that particular thing will be displayed. I hope you all remember, you have done it in class 10, but then also for recapitulation I have given a small sort of example. Now XML, XML you all have done in class 10, but then also for recapitulation we need to learn it. XML, the full form of XML is extensible markup language. It is a text based markup language that allows the user to create their own tags to store data in structured format, whereas in HTML you cannot create your own tags. Then these structured formats can be represented in different ways. In XML, tags are not predefined and can be created for their own purpose. Unlike HTML, XML tags are case sensitive. We have already discussed that the HTML tags are not case sensitive. Okay, each tag must have a corresponding closing tag, but in HTML you can have empty tag also. It is not requirement that every tag has to have a closing tag, for example BR tag or HR tag. Now in general, the XML is a general purpose specification that allows user to create custom markup language. XML was designed to carry data and not to display data, but whereas HTML is designed to display data. It is not designed to carry data. Okay. Now we can see the format or the structure of XML document. XML version 1.0, client, client ID, client name, company, client, closed, and then again a tag open. So you have created your own tag over here. So XML is a markup language for creating documents in a structured format, and user can create their own tags along with predefined tags already defined by HTML. So these is the summary of XML. Now let us see what is HTTP. We have already discussed it in our network protocol part, but since it is again a service, again a portion of this, we have to discuss it. HTTP is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, which transfers all files and other data from one computer to another, which is linked to the internet or World Wide Web. This protocol is used to transfer hypertext documents over the internet, and it defines the data in a formatted and transmitted form over the internet, over the network. We have got an HTTP client, that is a browser that sends a request to HTTP server, that is web server, and the server sends responses back to the client. And this transfer of requests and responses is done following HTTP protocol. So this sending request and getting the answer or processing of request is all done with the help of HTTP protocol. The basic features of HTTP documents are: it is stateless protocol, means several commands are executed simultaneously without knowing the command which is already executing before another command. So that's why it is stateless. It is object oriented protocol and uses client server model. The browser sends a request to the server, and the server processes it and sends back the response to the client. It uses the displaying web pages on the screen. Now let us understand what is domain name. A domain name is actually your website name. Domain name is the address where internet users can access your website, or you can say it is used for finding and identifying computers on the internet. Because of this, domain name were developed and used to identify entities on the internet rather than using IP addresses. So other than IP address, we have domain name to identify a particular website or devices. Now domain name makes it easier to resolve IP addresses into names, because it is not possible to remember 1.6, 160.192 something like this, the numbers, but it is better to understand and learn the names. So just mapping IP addresses to name is domain name. Now for example, cbsc.nic.in, google.com, meritnation.com, these are the domain names. So it is a system which assigns names to some computers, web servers, maintains a database with which the names and corresponding IP addresses. The domain names are used in URLs to identify particular web servers. For example, in a URL http www.cbsc.nic.in welcome.htm, the domain name is cbsc.nic.in. So I guess now if anyone asks, this is the URL, which one is the domain name, you should know which one is the domain name. So this, among this given URL, this is the domain name. Moreover, the domain name has got some following parts. First, it is the top level domain name or the primary domain name, and other some subdomain name. In the domain name cbsc.nic.in, in this primary domain name is NIC and CBSC is the subdomain name of NIC. So I hope you have understood. Let us understand this again. In the domain name cbsc.nic.in, in is this portion. In is the primary domain name and NIC is the subdomain name of in, and CBSC is the subdomain name of NIC. So this is the main. In is the primary one that represents India, then NIC is the subdomain name of in and CBSC is the subdomain name of NIC. Now let us take some generic domain names. .com is for commercial business, .edu for educational institutions, .gov is government agencies, .mil is military, .net is network organizations, .org is organizations, that is non-profit governments. And then for specific domain names we have got .in is India, .au is Australia, .ca is Canada, .ch is China, .nz is New Zealand, .pk is Pakistan, .jp is Japan, .us is United States of America. Next, URL. URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator, that helps in locating a particular website or a web page. You can see the example www.cbsc.nic.in academics.html is a URL for a specific website, wherein HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. www.cbsc.nic.in indicates the IP address or the domain name where the source is located, basically the path. Then academics.html specifies the name of the specified HTML document. So basically this is the file name. You can also say HTTP is the protocol name, this is the address of the server, this is the whole path, and this is the file name. So this is the name of the protocol or type of protocol. Okay. This is the file name, and this portion which we are calling as IP address or the domain name is also known as the address of the protocol, or address of the server or path or location of the server. And this whole is the path. Now what is website? A website is a location a website is a collection of several web pages which are related to each other with the help of hyperlinks, and the first web page is known as home page, that has been displayed on the documents, and the web page of a website are written using HTML or XML depending upon the choice. The HTML documents consist of several hyperlinks that are accessed through HTTP protocol. You can have a number of examples of websites cbsc.nic.in, google.com, amazon.in, myntra.com, flipkart.com and many more. As we have already understood what is a website, it is a collection of web pages. Now let us see what is web page. A web page is an electronic document designed using HTML. So it displays information in textual or graphical form. And a web page can be of two types. One is static web page, another is dynamic web page. A static web page displays same kind of information whenever your user visits, and that is why it is known as static web page. It is generally has .html, .html extensions, but a dynamic web page is an interactive web page, and a dynamic web page uses scripting languages that we will be learning, that displays the content changing, and such pages has .php, .asp or .jsp as extension. I hope the difference between the static and dynamic you have understood. Now the next we have got web browser. Web browser is a software that helps you to access the web pages, and thus is called web client, and it helps the user to navigate through the World Wide Web and displays the web pages. For example, Mozilla Firefox, Opera and many more. So the web browser is a web client that navigates through www and displays the web pages. So anytime if the definition comes to write, you can write this definition. Now next we have got web server. A web server is a server that stores web pages, and when a web client is sending any request to a server, then the server responds to the request and displays the requested web pages. So a web server is a program that runs on a computer connected to the internet and waits for a request, finds the document, generates the information if required and sends back to the browser that requested for it. So a single web server may support multiple websites, and a single website may be hosted on several linked web servers. For the web servers examples are Apache Web Server, Netscape, Enterprise Web Server, Microsoft Internet Information Server and many more, Gophers and many more. In this figure, this concept is very important. Whenever the web client is sending a request, it is sent to the web server. The web server is searching the information and again giving back the information or the result to the web client. Next, the last topic of this session is web hosting. It is a service which is provided by companies to its clients to allow them to construct their own websites which are accessible to the internet's users via World Wide Web, and such companies are called web host. So these companies provide space on a web server they own for use by their clients, as well as provide internet connectivity. So the websites which are constructed displayed information for their organization in the form of web pages. So web hosting is actually a service which is provided by companies for their particular clients to allow them to have their own websites, and such companies are called web host, and the whole process is called web hosting. And a client can also use a control panel for installing scripts as well as other modules like email. Web hosting India.com is one of the top domain name registration and web hosting companies in India. So it is only hosting company which provides support in regional languages also. So overall we can say web hosting is a service that is provided by the company to users to create web based applications over internet. So with this we are ending our session today. I hope the session was enjoying and fruitful, and rest of the internet services will be discussing in the next session. Thank you.